Welcome back to another bonus episode of Big Business. Before I get into this episode, which is going to be elaborating on the controversial things and ways that I run my business, which is a series that I've been doing across my socials over the last week, I wanted to tell you all something that I don't know why I haven't said on here sooner, but better late than never, right? I have created a free group chat for absolutely anyone and everyone, whether it's aspiring business owners, entrepreneurs, content creators, or people that just want to learn more from me. If you love what I do here on the pod, this group is like an extension of that. The group chat is called The Secret Boardroom, and if you want to find it, all you have to do is jump onto my Instagram page, and then you will literally see it in my bio. It says Secret Boardroom. You click on it and you join. And this week, I'm doing a free content creation challenge. By the time this is out, the challenge is already halfway over, but I mean, you can start it at any time. I just wanted to create a space that can be an extension of my podcast. I'm active in there every single week. I'm doing my first content challenge where I have written out 5 full days worth of videos for everyone with tips and tricks and all the different ways that you can create the content. Making these podcasts at home is impossible with the dogs, but I make do. If you haven't seen on my socials, over the last week, I started this, I made 1 video and then it turned into 2 and then it turned into 3 about controversial things that I do in my business. Now, I want to say none of these are actually controversial, but to some businesses or business owners out there, they could be controversial. And I know that they're controversial in a sense that it would get a reaction out of everyone, but not because they're controversial. It's because I believe, and I think a lot of other people believe, these things that I do should be the norm and the standard when it comes to business and the way that you run it. And I've touched on these a lot throughout the episodes, but I thought let's dedicate a bonus ep to all of these things. I'm going to run through them and I'm going to try and get through all 3 videos and all the points that I've made in the length of a bonus episode. Okay, so number 1, I have never had a blackout period. Commonly in retail businesses will have a blackout period where their staff simply cannot put in any leave requests. We have never done that. And I think as well, a lot of these like controversial things, I feel really fortunate that I have been able to set my business up this way. And I had a lot of people commenting on my videos when I was doing them saying, I wish my workplace would do that, or I work at XYZ. I wish we did that. I think that's the luxury and privilege that comes with starting a business very small and growing it to where I have now is I've had full control over how this narrative plays out with Fate. So I've been able to use my common sense and set my business up in a way that I would like it to be. And I get that it would be frustrating for people that work at large corporations when they hear me say like, we've never had a blackout period. Someone goes, what? Like I've had to work every Christmas for the last 6 years at the company I'm in. It's probably because they work at a company that's so big and been around for so long that like it's too far gone to like change it, if you know what I mean. So if anything, I think all these little things that I do is one of the privileges of starting out as a really small business and building it out the way that you want it to be. So number 1, never had a blackout period. Do we expect our staff to be available to work over Christmas? For sure. Like we don't shut our retail stores or anything over the Christmas period. So we hope that there'll be a few that can work through the period and we'll get on some Christmas casuals and stuff, but we've never had a blackout period. Next, everyone knows this one already. We don't have any KPIs for our retail staff. That's not to say that we don't want them to sell. And I feel like I could elaborate on this a lot more in another episode about this, even though I know I've already done one in the past. We can talk about it again and again. But we don't have KPIs for our retail staff. Again, I know it's common and traditional in retail that every day a retail worker goes in for their shift, even if it's a 3-hour lunch cover, they are slapped with a number and they have to work their butt off to try and hit that. And if they don't, they will get questioned why. I experienced this myself when I worked in retail back in the day, and it filled me with so much anxiety. Like I used to freak out. I remember I worked at a men's clothing store, selling suits and belts and shirts and shoes, maybe, I don't know. And I remember after like a couple of shifts there, the manager, said, can we go and have a chat? Like I'm 17. Like this is my first retail job And we go and have a little chat, and then she's like, and I understand that she was just doing her job because then she would have a boss as well. But she's like, I just need to know like why you're not hitting your whatever, your KPIs. And I was like, because the guys, they just come in, they might just want to have a look, and she's like, well, you need to be upselling more. And I will never forget that moment. And that stuck with me. So no KPIs for our retail staff. That's not to say, of course, like we want our staff to sell our products. I think people on social media can take things very literally and maybe assume when I say we don't have any KPIs, that means don't even worry if you don't sell anything. That's not the case. We absolutely want them to sell our product and have great sales days. We just don't have the pressure of them needing to make $7,500 today. And if you don't, look out, we're coming for you. Of course, we want them to sell, but we get them to feel good about selling in other ways. And I think by taking away the number, it makes it so much more enjoyable for people to work in a retail space. Next one. We did a company-wide bonus last year for all staff that was calculated on time spent in the company versus, performance. I did a whole episode about this a while ago last year, but that was the first time we'd ever done any sort of like bonus, and we did it for every single staff member. So even our retail casuals that have been with us for 1 month, or retail casuals that have been with us for 3 years, all the way through to our warehouse assistants and every corner of the business, every single staff member got a bonus. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing for us to do because, yes, we want to reward our team members and do bonuses traditionally, like for really hard work or whatever. But it felt right to do it based on time spent in the company as well, because to business owners, well, me, loyalty to a company is also really important in conjunction with performance. So that was just something that we did last year that I feel like is pretty unheard of. And I even had some of our retail casuals reach out to me saying, like, never in my life would I ever expect to get a bonus working in retail. So thank you so much. So it was a really cool thing for us to do. The next thing I've done it's not controversial, maybe in the business world or maybe just surprising, is I've never taken out a loan or have any investors or anything like that. I'm clueless when it comes to that stuff. And that's not really controversial. If anything, I think it's something worth being very proud of. But it's maybe more so controversial when I meet other founders or business owners who have similar size businesses to me and they find that out. They're like, what? That's something I'm really proud of. I think it shows like all of our hard work and determination and how clever we have been with the way that we've done things over the last 8 years with Fate, that we've grown to this size completely bootstrapped, self-funded, and never taken out a loan or borrowed any money off anyone. And I'm very, very proud of that. All right, I'm actually making good time. We're at the last point in this first video, so I reckon I'm going to get through the other two. This one, again, isn't controversial, but it actually kind of is. It's just the simple fact that we stock sizes 6 to 26 in store throughout the whole store. There are a lot of awesome businesses out there who do have a wide size range, and I'm loving seeing more and more people, extend their sizing range, but I still think like it's quite jarring when you do go to the shops, and I don't go to the shops very often, so I'm like in my own little Fate world where sizes 6 to 26 is normal to us. And if I go into any of our Fate stores, it's normal for us to see people of all different shapes and sizes in there, and mums and daughters and everyone. It's really normal to us because we've been doing it for so long. But when you do go to your local Westfield and you walk around, like you can literally point out all the stores that only go to a size, 14 or 16, or maybe they have some 18s, but there's only a couple, or they do an extended size range, but it's online only. So I think the fact that we have that size range store wide is, number one, amazing. And it's not really controversial, but it kind of is if you compare it to a lot of other retailers out there. So let's get on to video number 2 that I did in this series. I did that first video and it blew up on TikTok. So I was like, I'm going to make another one. And that's a hot tip to anyone out there. If you're creating content and if you make one video and it does really well, or it gets more views than, any other video that you've done recently, see if you can make a part 2 of it and continue that same theme and conversation, because that's exactly what I did with these videos on my socials. So thing number one from video number 2, no one takes their work home with them. And what I mean by this is, I know a lot of people in a lot of roles, in a lot of workplaces, maybe they have such an extreme workload that they take stuff home with them to finish it at home. We just have a strict, like, no one is taking their work home with them ever rule at Fate. And if there have ever been times where I have found out that someone took their laptop home to do something at night, whether they felt like they wanted to finish it or they were maybe even excited to do it, you're in big trouble with me. I do not want my staff to be taking their work home with them and feeling stressed like they can't get it done in the day. And I think that comes back to me as a business owner and leaders as well, to recognize if your team or anyone in your team is feeling swamped and they're not, finishing their tasks in their day, that's when you need to look at maybe growing the team. Because I just don't want a workplace where people feel so stressed and then they take their laptop home and they go, I'll do another hour or two at home so I can finish this or get ahead for the next day. And you'd be surprised at how common this is in workplaces. When I did these videos, I had so many people responding saying, my sister is always taking her work home and she'll sometimes stay up until 2 a.m. and then, get back up at 6 to go into the office again. And I just don't want to ever have a workplace like that. Our office team work from 8 till 4. They clock off at 4 and that's it. No more work until the next day. Forget about it. The next one, I've done a whole episode about this as well. And I think people on social media were getting confused about this. But my staff are paid hourly. And if someone does happen to work extra hours outside of their 38 hours, they get paid for it. And then people are going, but they don't work after 4. So how can they get paid extra? So an example of someone working outside of their 38 hours would be, let's say, if we're traveling for work, let's say we're opening a store, let's say we're doing a photo shoot and it goes just a little later in the afternoon. None of our staff are on a salary. We can absolutely tell our staff how much they earn in a year, and we do. The same way if you're on a salary, let's say you're getting $80,000 a year, you can divide that by how many hours you would work on average in a week, and it will actually tell you how much you're earning per hour. Again, there was a lot of confusion online of people saying, well, this sounds like a scam because all of your staff are casual. And I don't know if that's just people not being overly educated, but you can be on an hourly rate and still get your annual leave and personal leave and all the other things, which I found really interesting because I had a lot of people with salary commenting on my TikTok in particular, saying that they thought that salaries included your leave entitlements. They didn't realize that you can be a full-time employee on an hourly rate and still get all your leave entitlements. And that's the way that we've always ran our business. We also pay our staff weekly, which also might be kind of controversial because I know a lot of workplaces, especially bigger businesses or bigger corporations, will pay their staff either fortnightly or monthly, but we pay everyone every week, and our full-time employees get paid by the hour and do their standard 38 hours, just like someone on a salary. But if you ask me, I think that salaries are a bit of a old school scam to get people to work more. And then you'll always do like the time in lieu or we'll owe you the hours. But I hear so many stories of people saying, but I never actually get it. Anyway, it is actually quite controversial because it's not common, but it's something that we do. It's the way that we've always done things. And at the end of the day, if someone's on an hourly rate, they can still work out what they earn in a year. All right, I'm speeding through these last two because I'm at almost 15 minutes and I know Xander's going to be telling me this is too long for a bonus. But the next controversial opinion that I have in my business, which again is not controversial at all, is I'm so open to change and improving as a business owner personally and as a company. Again, I just think of a lot of traditional workplaces and companies. They're so stuck in their ways, especially if they've been around for a long time. And again, I think this is a privilege, starting a business small and building it to where it is. I love adapting. I love changing. I love improving something. If a printer's broken, we'll get a new one. I just hear so many stories of my boss, we've had a broken printer for 5 years and he just won't fork out the money. I'm so open, and this isn't about printers. It's much bigger than that. But I don't want to become a company that is so stuck in their ways that, you just go, no, this is the way that we've always done things and that's that. I think in business, you have to be willing to change, not only as a business, but as a manager and personally as a boss. And I'm so open to change. I'm anti staying the same. I don't know the right way to word that, but I'm so open to change. I'm open to changing anything in our company, our policies, our procedures, our systems, the way we do things, anything that's going to make our business better and all of our team members' lives more enjoyable. I am all for it. And the last point from video 2 is I've never had my own office. Again, not overly controversial, but I do think it's quite interesting that Fate is the size that it is, and it's quite a big business now, and I still have never had my own office. I've just been hot desking for all these years. Controversial things I do in my business part 3. I pay to renovate commercial spaces, even if we are just renting them, because I believe in having a nice working environment. And that's controversial because a lot of people will say, don't even bother, it's not your building, XYZ, blah, 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 which I totally understand. But I think if you invest some money into creating a nice working environment for your team members, it's going to pay off tenfold. Next point of controversial things I do in my business. We don't do time-wasting meetings. There's nothing more I hate than a meeting that could have been an email, and I know for a fact that there are so many workplaces out there, especially corporate workplaces, that just have way too many meetings that don't need to happen. We are always changing up the way that we structure our team meetings and one-on-ones at Fate, and it's something we're still working on until this day. I believe in just having meetings when they need to happen, having the people in there that need to be in them, and it's not something that we have perfected yet. But again, I don't want to build a workplace that's just full of people sitting in meetings all the time when it could have been an email or it could have just been two people having a conversation. So that's a big one for me. We do not want to have time-wasting meetings. The next point, I run my business with my partner, AJ. This is controversial because a lot of people always say to me, I could never run my business with my partner, which I absolutely understand. And we are just extremely lucky and it works for us. Touch wood. The next point in this video is that we feature our customers on our social media and on our website, and we did a community model search where we did a call out for all of our customers to apply and potentially become a model with us. And you would have seen that on my socials earlier this year. If you didn't, we did a big model search. We flew all around the country to do like casting calls and auditions. And then one lucky winner, whose name is Claudia, she won a 12-month paid modeling contract with us. And I think this is a really nice point of difference for us. We work with agency models all the time, but we also love just featuring, I guess, real people, if you want to use that term, and customers and people in our community on our socials. The next controversial thing I do in my business is that our staff don't need to explain why they're taking a day off, or they don't need to apologize for it. Sorry, Xander, I'm trying to rush through this episode because I know he's going to be sitting there going, this is too long. When I first started Fate, I noticed that people would apologize when they would call in sick. Like, I'm so sorry, and this happened last night, and XYZ. Like, I noticed this early on, and I guess I'd never been a team leader or anything, so I'd never experienced people calling in sick. But I remember saying to myself, like, why is everyone apologizing? I think team members really carry past, I don't want to say traumas, but from previous workplaces where they were maybe made to feel bad for calling in sick. If you work at Fate and you need to take a day off, all it needs to be is a text saying, hey, I'm not going to come in today, I'll see you tomorrow. And that's all it needs to be. The next controversial thing we do in our business is that we have a PR list. So like an influencer style PR list, but it's just for customers. And we make up and send out parcels every single month to people that are in our community. The next point, and the second last one, we're almost there, is that we're based in a regional city, which is Newcastle in New South Wales. Again, this isn't really controversial. I was just trying to come up with more things to add to these videos, but I think it is surprising when I meet other people who are based in Sydney and have businesses similar size to Fate. They're always surprised to know that we are based in a small city. And I often have people ask, are you ever going to move to Sydney? Because, that's kind of what people do when they build a business and it gets so big, you move somewhere bigger for more opportunities. But I love being based in Newey. I think it's really cool that we've created so many jobs in a regional city. In saying that, it's not like overly small here, but it is a lot smaller compared to the major cities. And the last thing that we do is that we actively listen to our customers and our community. There's probably a lot of businesses out there, especially large corporations, that don't really care for feedback, but I feel like I'm the opposite and we are the opposite at Fate. We're so active within our community across our socials and of course in our emails every single day. And essentially And basically, at the end of the day, everything that we do is for the people that support us. So whether it's feedback on an in-store experience that someone has and they want us to improve on it, we will absolutely do that. If something is fitting, not how someone would hope, I would love to hear that feedback so we can make changes. And we've done that so many times over the years. Like the amount of items that we've had over the years that I've tweaked and changed to make better based on customers' feedback. I've lost count over how many times that I've done that, and I'm still actively doing that. And we also listen to our community in terms of what they want us to come out with. They are a massive source of inspo for us. And I think that's what makes a really successful business. But anyway, that's the end of today's bonus. So that's all. And remember, join my, what's it called? Secret boardroom, which I told you about at the start. This has been the most chaotic bonus episode ever. And I will be back next week for my main. I'll see you then.